Premier Sports is live now.
Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Premier Sports After Dark. And I am Double P, the host of Premier Sports Talk. And like I always like to ask, I need a blessing from you. I need you to hit that like button. Share the channel with somebody. And drop your comments whenever you watch this live airing. You see, I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary this upcoming Saturday on July the 4th. And I would so love it if you could pass a blessing. Pass a blessing and drop a super chat. Because these trade talk rumors are reaching a point of insanity. But before we get into that, I got to take everybody back to the scene of the crime. You see, I tap into the Tony Rizzo show on ESPN Cleveland up there. And Tony Rizzo came back off of vacation. And lo and behold, he did a Mary. That's right, Mary Kay Caput, the one with the ultimate My Sources Says. Tony Rizzo took a page out of the Mary Kay media playbook. And I got to take you back to the scene of the crime that launched the national wildfire of trade talks of Shedeur Sanders. Let me take you to the scene of the crime.
Ongoing calls about the availability of Shedeur Sanders. The Browns, for whatever reason, don't think he's the guy. That's my opinion. And I'm sure they'll say, what are you talking about? He's in a quarterback battle. Okay. But I'm going to say right now, for the record, I don't think the 4 quarterbacks are going to camp on July 28th. I don't. Nothing is imminent, but the calls are being made. And I think it's probably in the best interest of both parties here.
So like I said, I had to take you back to the scene of the crime. And that was Anthony Rizzo, Tony Rizzo, who does the Really Big Show from 9 to 12, who does the Tony Rizzo Show from 8 to 9, Monday through Thursdays. And like I said, the Shedeur Sanders trade rumors are officially reaching a level which is pure insanity. Pure insanity from that one little take that I just showed you from Tony Rizzo. So I got to drop a receipt. And just like we see in this thumbnail, trade talks make so much sense. This is what we got one local national reporter saying. And then we got Earl the Pearl, 92.3 The Fan, and of Garrett Bush, the Final Cut, rips this false narrative that was started by who I showed you the evidence by, Tony Rizzo of ESPN Cleveland. It's time to expose the guilty and we the jury. That's right, I said we the jury because I need you to drop your comments, whether you agree or disagree. If Tony Rizzo is guilty of the charges of making a false media national wildfire narrative against Shedeur Sanders. You see, I'm about to drop the receipts because this is absolutely nonsense what this local media keeps doing, spewing this negative narrative against Shedeur Sanders, who has done nothing to the local media narrative. He's done nothing. He's been a great teammate. He's been good to the community up there. If you ask me, he's been a mentor for all the young kids and to the entire community. But see, Tony Rizzo started this fake narrative, like our president liked to say, fake news, that I just played it. Tony Rizzo, with his fake news, says that the Cleveland Browns are fielding calls to trade away Shedeur Sanders. But it absolutely makes no sense when he's getting reps with Deshaun Watson. He's getting reps with the first team and the second team. Him and Shedeur is getting all the reps. So what sense would it make to trade away one of the QBs that's in a QB competition that looks like it's actually a fair competition? None of this nonsense that we saw last year with Shedeur on the opposite field, throwing to the equipment people, throwing at garbage cans, throwing to assistant coaches. It looks like he's really getting a fair shot up there in Berea. You see, but the real thing is, you see, nobody in the local media up there, they don't want to tell you the real truth. You see, they don't want Deshaun Watson to win QB1, but they also don't want Shedeur Sanders to prove himself right that he is QB1 and he could give the Browns a winning season, so much so to totally, like he did last year, get enough wins to get the Cleveland Browns out of being able to get one of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 draft picks to get their quarterback that they so desperately search for every year. And what's crazy is Shedeur Sanders was the only one that brought a spark to a team last year. It wasn't Kenny Pickett, who pulled a hamstring and got traded away off to the Raiders. It wasn't Joe Flacco, who AB Andrew Berry traded away, sent off to a division rivalry with the Cincinnati Bengals. It wasn't Dylan Gabriel, who when he got that supposedly concussion, never made his way back onto the field. It was Shedeur Sanders that brought energy to the team. It was Shedeur Sanders who had the locker room leaning on him, respecting him, not by his words, but through his action. So yeah, like I said, I'm Double P, host of Premier Sports Talk, and I'm going to give you some real talk on 92.3 The Fan that occurred over the weekend. And I need you to be the jury on this live feed training Shedeur Sanders. Does it make sense to you or does it not make any sense to you? But let me give you a little special treat before we get into it.
And I told you I'm the one that you been looking for, the one that you adore, but you don't see it no more. You been ignoring what you been searching for. Your eyes been open, but they closed for sure. And I told you I'm the one that you been looking for, the one that you adore, but you don't see it no more. You been ignoring what you been searching for. Your eyes been open, but they closed for.
And like we saw last year, all Shedeur Sanders does is when he's supposed to be off, he's still working on his profession. He's still striving and grinding. He doesn't have to have anybody tell him what to do. He's showing you by his actions that he wants to be a Cleveland Brown. He wants to win the battle of QB1. He wants to bring a new era, a new culture, a new mindset in Cleveland. Like he told all those local reporters up there in Cleveland. So what I need you all to do is, like I said, in this video, when it's done, I need you to let me know one thing by telling me you agree that it makes no sense for Shedeur Sanders to get traded. By one, you could do is hit that like button. By two, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, the evidence that I'm providing you, can you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell? Because it's just getting pure insanity up there in Cleveland, y'all. Pure insanity. It's time. It's time to present the evidence.
It makes absolutely no sense. It never made any sense. And I know people like to say, well, you know, they traded Miles, so anything can happen. I think this is a totally different case, a totally different position. And when you look at the situation, right, you look at the quarterback room and you understand all the install and learning of the system that has taken place. You've heard Andrew Berry and Todd Monken talk about the differences night and day as far as the work he's put in the offseason and being in the middle of a quarterback competition. Why in the world would you trade Shedeur Sanders, leaving Deshaun Watson as your starter for a team that says they're trying to win this year?
Yeah, listen, I agree with just about everything that Scott said when it comes to the situation. I don't even know where this stuff came from. I haven't picked up any sort of any ideas or, you know, any conversations that the Browns are like actively shopping Shedeur Sanders. Now, is the phone always on? Like I said to Scott, yeah. Like clearly, if Myles Garrett can get traded, then anybody can get traded. Nobody's safe. And I guess if somebody called and blew you away and they were like, "Hey, we'll give you a 2nd-round pick for Shedeur Sanders," okay, fine. Like that was a 5th-round pick that you used. You can turn that into a 2nd-round pick. Like I think absolutely you would sign up for that. I also don't think that that's happening. Like Shedeur is 15 months removed from all 32 teams, for whatever the reasons were, passing on him through, almost 5 rounds before he was even taken. I don't think people are calling with that sort of trade package. So I'm like, of course anybody can get traded if the right offer was made, sure. But I'm of the belief that you have this quarterback situation you have right now, and you're the one guy that provides you some sign of hope that maybe there's something there. I think Scott put it perfectly. Like there might be varying degrees of belief in that Shedeur can be that guy, but there is some small maybe percentage that he could turn into the franchise quarterback. So you should probably just see that through. Like they.
So exhibit number 1, presented. When you have 2 quarterbacks in a QB battle, why would you even take calls from any NFL team that would want to possibly get one of your 2 quarterbacks competing for QB1? You just wouldn't do it right now. They didn't even let Dylan Gabriel get any reps during the optional training camp or during the mandatory practice training that they had. He got no reps at all. They've been developing Shedeur Sanders, and they've been trying to see what Deshaun Watson has left in his bag of tools. I shall proceed on.
Didn't invest in the quarterback position this offseason other than Taylor Green, who he's not ready to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. So like they drafted him knowing he's a project. It's not like they added some quarterback that presents another option or that you can turn to if this thing doesn't work out with one of these 2 guys. These are your options. And so I'd rather see it through with Shedeur this year and find out what he is before I just flippantly trade him. And the other side of this, from like a marketing standpoint or just a PR standpoint, Earl, we know how this fan base and a large portion of the city feels about Deshaun Watson. He's
about to present exhibit number 2. Pay close attention.
But he is now associated with a bad era of Browns football that does have that playoff appearance in there in 2023 that he wasn't necessarily a part of in the moment. But like they associate that trade with bad memories, the worst trade in NFL history. People don't like him as a person, as a player. All those reasons we all know. Like if you trade Shedeur Sanders is the one quarterback you have that you can sell to the fan base as, hey, here's this unknown that we can find out about and that people can kind of like or get excited about. If you get rid of him or you trade him or take him out of this equation, then you're only left with the guy that's controversial and nobody wants to see for a team that, again, I know I keep bringing this up. they are thinking longer term about this team's future. They are thinking about keeping fans interested enough to get to the point where they're competitive again because they have a stadium to sell you in 2029. So, like, that stuff matters. They can't just throw in the towel on, like, the one good thing they have to sell at the quarterback position because, you know, people are coming up with these rumors. I had no idea where this came from, and I have no idea where this idea that he can't.
Objection. This is Spencer German. He reports on the Cleveland Browns. As you can see, he works for 92.3 The Fan. He has a Locked On Browns podcast that he hosts daily up there. He says he has no idea where this rumor came from. Well, there you have it. That's why I'm saying objection. He knows Tony Rizzo came off of vacation or came from wherever he was at. He wasn't on air for 2 weeks. But when he showed up on a Monday, he said the Browns are taking calls for possibly trading Shedeur Sanders. Objection. Will you tell the whole truth? So help you most high. Because you're not being honest. You're only telling the partial truth. You may proceed.
Can't be a backup if he doesn't win the job immediately came from either.
Yeah, that's the other part of this conversation that, you know, first of all, the first part, I don't know where it came from either. And it's the offseason.
Oh, I object. Earl the Pearl, this is my first time listening all the way. Man, I love you like a brother up there. I be even on your X tweets and always being positive. But if I got to call out Spencer German from saying he don't know where it come from, it's just in my humble opinion that I think both of you may know where it comes from. I'm not calling you a liar. I don't want to call Spencer German a liar. I must recant my last statement. But I believe that you both may be aware. And I'll leave it at that. Continue.
It's the summertime.
It's June.
I try to do my best to not tell other people in this business how to go about doing a job. And I really don't know 100% what they might, with 100% certainty, what they might know, you know, to be true or not. Do I think people are calling Andrew Berry, inquiring? Yes. Do I think the Browns are actively shopping Shedeur Sanders and are entertaining even the ideology of it? No, I don't at all.
Yes, I agree with this statement right here. Are the Browns possibly taking calls for Shedeur Sanders? I'm going to say yes. And why do I say yes? Well, Geno Smith got some legal charges going on and some domestic accusations against him. And he's the QB1 for the New York Jets. And if he has to do some time or face any punishment, the New York Jets have no valid QB1. And we're all aware that Shedeur Sanders beat the Raiders last year, where Geno Smith, real name Eugene, played for the Raiders, and Shedeur Sanders beat the Raiders in the second game against Geno Smith. Let's continue. I think they may be fielding calls, but right now is not the right time to be possibly shopping him.
Second part of it, though, I think me and you are locking step on as well. This idea that Shedeur Sanders can't be a backup quarterback on the Cleveland Browns roster if he was not to win a starting job, I think is absolutely crazy because for me, they try to attach the reasoning behind so to things that have absolutely nothing to do with Shedeur Sanders himself.
Yeah, I agree.
And the people in the media who are saying this are the people, in my opinion, that's experiencing some of the issues and want those issues to go away.
Exhibit number 3, the underlining truth of these ludicrous false accusations. The Browns need to trade Shedeur Sanders. Earl the Pearl is about to expose a particular co-worker who cannot stand the heat from spewing out false narrative all the time that Shedeur Sanders is the worst quarterback ever in the NFL. Let's let him present the case.
Oh, wait. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the social media backlash. I'm talking about the social media pondering. I'm talking about everything that goes on in the cycle of the internet world when it comes to how people feel about the coverage of Shedeur Sanders, their opinion of other people's opinion of him, etc.
It would just be easier to make it go
It would
away.
just make it, it would be easier for these people to not have to deal with that on a day-to-day if Shedeur Sanders just went away and vanished completely if he didn't win a starting quarterback job. And so when people say that, well, he can't be a starting quarterback. He can't handle it. Whoever said that he couldn't handle it, as you alluded to.
Oh, I object. This Shedeur Sanders, after all he went through last year, after being thrown in the Baltimore Raven game last year without any reps with the first team or the second team, with no development at all, go on to play the last 7 games for the Cleveland Browns. But before he played those last 7 games with the Cleveland Browns, was Shedeur Sanders not a backup last year? It's crazy. Shedeur Sanders cannot be a backup quarterback. He proved it last year. There was no locker room chaos. There was no drama amongst the team or the coaching staff. Matter of fact, he supported every quarterback that was before him. He displayed a teammate character quality. He even told the media and the fans to stop booing Dillon Gabriel when he's out there because it's a distractor and that everybody should want the team to win, and he supports Dillon Gabriel. Did he not? So how can he not be a starting quarterback if Todd Monken, Andrew Berry, and the owner, Jimmy Haslam, decide to allow Deshaun Watson to start off the season? You see, in the end, instead of being negative against either quarterback, that local media up there, their mindset's been in the well of misery for over 30 years. But enough is enough. It's time to support your players with positivity, like we all were told from Shedeur Sanders, that this young team has a new mindset. It's a new culture that's developing. And all they're seeking for is the support from the local media instead of the negative backlash. But I will say this, it's the few bad apples, and I won't even go on any particular names, that are making the entire local media look bad. We shall proceed.
He was the third string, second string quarterback for most of the year last year, and he handled himself okay. When people talk like that, in my mind, you're only talking like that because you've experienced some type of backlash in this social media internet world that it has weighed on you. And you know what? I empathize with you a little bit, but just a little, because some of these people will tell you social media not real. What you see on the internet is not real. You shouldn't let it impact you.
And
but
then
it has impacted you all so much that if he doesn't win this starting job, you would much rather see him go somewhere else to appease you or to put you in a situation to where, you know what, I feel a sense of peace because I'm no longer getting beat up online by people who cheer for Shedeur Sanders.
Exhibit number 4. He's calling out some co-workers without calling out their name. But we got to proceed because we're getting so close. You know how one of them things where you're in a room and the CEO's having a conference call and they're talking directly about a particular individual and everybody knows who they're talking about, but that one particular person is keeping his head down or looking like he's distracted, looking at notes because he knows they're talking about them directly. Again, I'm Double P, host of Premier Sports Talk. If you are picking up the evidence that I am putting down, bless the channel, hit that like button. Bless the channel. Hit that subscribe button. Bless the channel. Hit that notification bell, because anytime Premier Sports Talk go live, you'll be able to tap in and get what I'm putting down. And most importantly, like I said, I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary on July the 4th, next Saturday. And the word of the Most High tells us, we have not because we ask not. And the reason why I ask is, I'm asking if you would drop that monetary super chat or that cash app, because I'm trying to elevate to another level. So I need your support to create some higher quality content. So I need to get some more higher platforms. Let's continue.
I think you're absolutely right that there's a personal part of this for some people. I'm not saying it's everybody who's talking about it, but it's certainly for some. I don't know where that idea came from. Like that's even more the trade thing. We can wrap our head around the idea that somebody could get traded, or somebody might call and say, hey, we'll give you a third for Shedeur or a fourth for Shedeur, and the Browns be
but
like,
not to have him as your backup quarterback.
Right. But the idea that, like, well, he can't be the backup now. What do you mean? Like, he was the backup most of last season. He handled that pretty well. He talked about how he learned, how the experience he learned from it and all these things. And like, yeah, maybe being the backup, he'd be annoyed by it. Could that lead to him trying to force his way out? Like, I don't think he's a 5th round pick in this league. Like, he doesn't have the leverage at this stage of his career to just be like going out there saying like, trade me, do this, do that. Like, I think he understands that. I don't see him as like the cancerous idea that's around him that I think, to your point, exists more online than anything for people. I don't see that in the locker room. And maybe I'm just blind to it and I miss it. But when I'm around that team, when I'm in that locker room, I don't see it as like some cancer that can't be handled or that he can't be around. And honestly, I think Tom Munkin's actually better suited to handle the celebrity that is Shedeur Sanders than probably even Kevin Stefanski was. So I completely disagree with the idea that he can't exist on this team as a backup to start the season. I get it. There's always the outside pressure of fans being like, well, I want to see the backup. I want to see Shedeur. I want to see this guy. How is that any different from any other year?
Any other year
that the Browns haven't had a quarterback.
Exactly.
So we got to keep a buck. Spencer German does got media credentials. And yes, he is in the press conferences, is in the locker room. But again, he only told the half truth, because he said he doesn't see him being a distraction to the team or the locker room when he's in there. But he does see the camaraderie, the bonding, the belief in Shedeur Sanders that he did not divulge in this live airing. But I just had to bring it to use all the point. We only got like 3 more minutes of this, but I'm dropping the receipts. I'm Double P, host of Premier Sports Talk. Hey, there's a hype button. If you're watching it on your mobile device, hit that hype button, You get 3 hypes through the week. And what does that hype button do? It'll push this video episode out in the YouTube algorithm.
For the Baker Mayfield years, every other, you can point to any other time since the team came back.
Kid that was from Lakewood and Brian Hoyer, and y'all was calling for Johnny Manziel.
Right. Like that
this happens all the time.
That always happens. How is that any different than this organization's ever seen before? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
I don't either. And like to your point, man, when you hear everything that you've heard about the night and day differences as far as his processing, as far as just, his movement, how quick it is, understanding the offense, how hard he's working, what his teammates think of him, etc. Any thought of him not being able to be a backup, it has nothing to do with Shedeur Sanders whatsoever. You all are focused on a part of this that he can't control. Yeah. And so because that part of it might become overwhelming for you, you just feel like, okay, we're better off without him, which from a football standpoint don't make sense, because that leaves you with Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel, and Taylor Green.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lick of sense. But he just dropped exhibit number 6. It's all about what certain local media beat writers can't handle, the social media backlash of the negative narrative that we are holding those particular individuals accountable for and exposing them.
You're either the people who are pointing to that are either doing it because, like I said, they're worried about the outside pressure from fans of, well, the backup needs to start, and they think that becomes this big distraction. And in some respects, it can become a distraction, but I just think like this organization's dealt with that before. You know, your quarterback room is what your quarterback room is. Like, if you're not ready to handle that, then why are you having a competition anyway? You should have just traded him and just leaned into Deshaun Watson from the beginning, right? So, or you're saying that because you feel some type of way about Shedeur Sanders and you don't like his attitude or his personality or whatever, and you think he's going to become a distraction and make a big scene and all that. And I think that only exists online. I think his diehard supporters maybe can become a distraction and cause a lot of smoke and things on social media. But I haven't seen Shedeur come in and like act that way and like be bad with his teammates or talk bad or like go out there and make these public statements and try to like force his way. Like I have not seen that from him. And so I think it's disingenuous to just project that onto him because you don't necessarily think because of what you see online and what you think his fans do.
And I'll add on to that before we take our break. But Todd Monken appeared on this station and talked when he was asked about some of these things being distractions. And he said, listen, if we distracted by that, then none of us need our jobs.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right? Because this is 2026. Social media has been around for a long period of time. Distractions is a part of this game. And if we can't do what we got to do to stay focused on what the main thing is, then none of us need to be employed here. And so for people to always constantly make this out to be this overwhelming, big, direct issue, I think you're 100% right, Spencer. It's so indirect, it's not even funny because he's not doing anything but showing up doing his job, right? And when he was the backup before, anytime his name surfaced, is because one of us decided to go put a camera in his face and a microphone in his face, and he wasn't even playing. So if you don't want this to be a distraction, it doesn't have to be a distraction.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just that simple.
No, that's fair.
Ladies and gentlemen of the social media jury, and we, the supporters, or those who are the naysayers, those who may be the naysayers, I close my case and I leave it up to the drawers. They say. They say, we all heard this before, that famous trial many, many years ago. If the case that I presented doesn't fit, we must acquit. But I presented the receipts and the evidence. Shedeur Sanders is not a distraction to his team. The team looks up to him. They have hope. And those hungry dogs and those new draft picks of 2026, I think there's going to be something special that occurs in this 2026 season. And a lot of people's going to be shocked. What they call it, the shock and awe. But I just had to present the evidence. You see, trading Shedeur Sanders doesn't make a lick of sense. It just doesn't. And if you don't believe me, I got somebody who's going to tell you just that.
It doesn't make a lick of sense.
What you just say?
It doesn't make a lick of sense.
Like I told you, it don't make a lick of sense. Trading Shedeur Sanders doesn't make a lick of sense. And the local media lies, as more as they try to push this false narrative, it's being exposed. We just heard from Spitzer German in 92.3 The Fan. We just heard of Earl the Prayer up there in Cleveland, who's 10 toes down for the Cleveland Browns, just like Spencer German is. And all they want to see is let the best man win up there in Cleveland. And me, like I always like to say, I don't tear one man down to build another man up. In the end, let the team have the competition. It's up to the organization. It's supposed to be the coach and the GM that decides who will be the first one out there on the field in week 1 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. But the owner of the team may have a say in it. We'll soon shall see. And just like Shedeur Sanders was not the QB1 at the beginning of last season, in the end, what the Most High has for us is for us. And no man can take away or shut the door of the footsteps that he has planned and our futures tomorrow. Just be patient. Yeah, our blood pressure may rise by these negative takes. We may feel some type of way because of the treatment that somebody we're supporting endures. But Shedeur Sanders is not going through none of that this year. So right there, not only Shedeur Sanders is winning, but we are winning. But most of all, the word of the Most High tells us within his word, it tells us that he amongst us who have not sinned, let him cast the first stone. And I don't think any of us are without any sin in this world. So let's give Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson a chance and allow them to compete to the best of their ability and support them, no matter who QB1. Because in the end, Cleveland wins. Dog Pound wins. I'm Double P, host of Premier Sports Talk. Hit that hype button, hit that hype button, hit that hype button.
The beacon, every verse, every step. It's a season, so we hold risk high for the long run. For the ones who ain't here, but they on one. For the streets, for the team, for the strong ones. Dog pound to the bone, yeah, we all one. Wrist up, dog pound. Let it bang, let it out. From the city to the field, every block, every foul. Throw it high, let it shine, let them hear our sound. When we chant, when we march, they gon' feel that pound. Wrist up, dog pound. We gon' run the town. Every loss,
I can't wait to the start of mandatory training camp, July 28th.
For the dog pound crown.
Put in the chat, W2. Put in the chat, DW4. Represent who you supported.
For the fan, for the pad, for the dog pound. Together we win every law we attack now.
Together we all win.
Get it done on the fat now. Don't let no photo with away with the sound.
And now, another Premier Sports After Dark drop. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. And go ahead on and bless me by hyping the channel up. Hype it up, hype it up, hype it up. I'll see you on the next one. And like I said, I'm coming up with my 1 year anniversary, July the 4th. Bless the channel. Drop that super chat. It's going across the bar. Y'all be blessed.
My soldiers set the score. I'm that one that will get it